They all left Kentucky together earlier this week. 3 horses traveling on the same plane to their shared destination. 3 horses that 2 weeks ago were separated by less than 1 second at the finish line at Churchill Downs.
Coming to the finish, American Pharoah and Victor Espinosa have won the Kentucky Derby!
It was hardly a surprise that the Derby favorite ended up in the winner's circle draped in the garland of roses. But it was how American Pharoah got there that was so striking.
This American Pharoah, you know, he makes a trainer really look good.
Overcoming the rivals who'd surged ahead of him, passing the first real test of his career in the biggest race of his life. Now today at Pimlico, the focus turns to the next challenge. For the trainer who's brought 3 Derby champions to this race before and won each time.
Silver sharp, and it's going to be real quiet. Poor Emblem wins the Preakness.
For the jockey looking to capture consecutive jewels in consecutive years. And for the bay colt with the faint star on his forehead, making the latest bid at one of sport's most elusive achievements in a rematch with his strongest challengers. One a stablemate unbeaten until the Derby. The other propelled by a seemingly ageless legend,
Firing line, not done yet.
who in Louisville nearly turned in the perfect ride. This is the way everyone wants it. The very best, back together on the track, headed once again to a shared destination. The finish line of the middle jewel of the Triple Crown in the 140th Preakness Stakes. And on a warm Saturday that was sunny most of the day, now there are thunderstorms in the area. That obviously has not deterred the legions who have flocked to Pimlico Racecourse. On the infield, always a singular scene, I guess is one way to put it. At the grandstand, perhaps just a bit more refined. Everyone, though, here for the featured race of the afternoon, the Preakness, which goes off in less than an hour and a half. Lightning has been spotted about 10 or 11 miles from here, and bad weather appears to be moving quickly toward Baltimore. It seems unlikely that there will not be at least some precipitation between now and the time that the 140th Preakness goes off, and obviously we will keep an eye on the weather for you. This is the smallest Preakness field in 15 years. 8 horses, 5 of them raced in the Kentucky Derby, and the storyline is, as ever, centered around the Derby champion, in this case, American Pharoah. The horse came into the Derby having won 4 straight races very easily. Then at Churchill Downs, he was pushed the whole way. And now the question is how that tough test might have affected him. Turning to the odds, as you'd expect, American Pharoah is the favorite at even money, even as the #1 post position he drew could potentially be problematic. Firing Line, the Derby runner-up, is ridden by 52-year-old Marvel Gary Stevens, who won this race 2 years ago aboard Oxbow. The odds on Firing Line are 5-2. Meanwhile, Dortmund is like American Pharoah, trained by Bob Baffert, and the odds there are 9-2. And for more, we go back to Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, and here at Pimlico, at least for now, the track is fast with a temperature in the low 80s. And you see the dark clouds, though, and the rain on its way. They'll be racing for a purse today of $1.5 million in the Preakness. And with the Randy and Jerry, and guys, the way that American Pharoah accomplished his victory at Churchill Downs says to me he could also win the Preakness.
He could. I mean, the biggest question going into the Kentucky Derby for many 3-year-olds is, can they get the 1.25 miles? Well, American Pharoah, he went 1.25 miles plus as he went down the stretch the first time and into the first turn. Because of his 18 post, we knew he was going to be wide, but it's significantly more wider than his competition Dortmund on the rail or Firing Line. You can see he ran 13 feet further than Firing Line and 33 feet farther than Dortmund on this turn alone. Typically, we're shoulder to shoulder in these races. There's no gaps like this. And as we go on the second turn, you can see how wide American Pharoah is. And look at the gaps between. This is even wider than he was on the first turn. So Victor Espinosa's jockey on American Pharoah had to be supremely confident that he had enough horse not only to lose the ground, but go ahead and win the Kentucky Derby as he straightened up for home.
The mathematics of ground loss are this. For every 9 feet farther a horse travels, it equates to about 1 length difference. So if American Pharoah had been on the rail all the way instead of being 4 wide on both turns, the margin of victory, instead of being a hard-fought length, would have been about 5 or 6 lengths in this case, which is especially significant since American Pharoah, Tom, has the #1 post position in the Preakness and might get a ground-saving trip today.
And as Jerry said, I think that Victor was confident, and so just put him on the outside, kept him out of trouble, and got the job done. Well, let's check in with our reporters now. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer first.
All right, Tom, well, firing line finished second the Kentucky Derby. And for all you fans of statistical minutia, and I am one, this is a horrible slot. In the last 45 years, just 2 horses have won the Preakness that finished second in the Kentucky Derby. But wait, hold on. This jockey is Gary Stevens. Gary Stevens has won this race 3 times. Silver Charm, Point Given, and Oxbow, a big long shot. So I ask you in all humility, would you be shocked if Firing Line won today? Kenny?
Or Bob, shocked if the 3rd place finisher in the Derby, Dortmund, won today. I talked to his owner, Kaleem Shah, who says he has the best trainer for this race. Quickly adding that also Ahmed Zayat has the best trainer as well. Of course, he owns American Pharoah. They are one and the same. Bob Baffert, who made the decision to run them 1-2. Now, Shaw is a big soccer enthusiast. He named Dortmund after one of his favorite teams, and he says he believes in the coach. He thinks Baffert is the coach of this stable, so he's good with this decision. But he quickly added as well that sometimes even star teammates have to go one-on-one more than once to see who's best. You know about that, don't you, Eddie?
Yes, I do, Kenny. Soccer, hockey, horses doesn't get any better than that. It's all about teamwork. And take a look at another couple of the horses that ran in the Derby aren't here at the Preakness Stakes. How about the horse that finished in 5th, the Canadian bred, Dan Zygmunt, had an absolute trouble trip. Probably was a little bit too close to the lead. Wants a hot pace here today and a cleaner chip for sure. And how about Mr. Z? Finished 13th in the Derby, and since that race he has a new owner, privately sold, still trained by D. Wayne Lucas, and for Lucas, looking to win his 7th career Preakness. Donna Brothers.
And Eddie, number 7, Divining Rod, actually getting ready in the stall behind me, is one of 3 horses who's running in the Preakness who did not run in the Kentucky Derby. He earned his way here by merit of a win in the Coolmore Lexington Stakes last month. And if his silks look familiar, they should. He's owned by Roy and Gretchen Jackson's Lale Stables, whose Kentucky Derby winner Barbaro broke down in the Preakness in 2006. This will be the first time they've run a horse in the Preakness since then. Lafitte?
Hard to believe it's been 9 years since Barbaro, Donna. Well, Tale of Verve does not look like your prototypical Preakness starter. He's only won 1 race. He's lost 5 of 6. In fact, he's never even run in a stakes race. But keep in mind who his trainer is, the man who engineered the biggest upset in the history of the Kentucky Oaks, Lemon Forever 2006, Dallas Stewart. Stewart also saddled Golden Soul, who finished 2nd in the 2012 Derby at 37-1. Commanding Curve last year finished 2nd in the Derby at 34-1. And Stewart did want to run Tale of Verve in the Derby. Didn't have enough points, couldn't get in. No such problems here at the Preakness. Tale of Verve is in with a long shot look. Let's go to Carolyn.
Well, Lafitte, jockey Trevor McCarthy is turning 21 years old today, but he doesn't want any part of what's happening in the infield right now. He has already earned the ultimate birthday present, the chance to ride Bodhisattva in his Triple Crown debut here at the Preakness. And he told me he's wanted to be a jockey ever since his days in preschool, when his mom would take him to the track before pre-K so that he could watch his dad Michael race, who is also a jockey. And then once first grade came around, he told the world his plans when he wrote to his parents, "I want to be a jokey. My dad is a jokey. I want to be like him. I will try my best." And Bob, that's all he can ask for today, so many years later on his 21st birthday. And he's won a couple races today already, so we'll see what happens.
That's great. And how cute is that? My dad is a jokey. Now, you could hope for good weather. We always do. It started to sprinkle a little bit, just a little bit of a spritz at this point, but the skies are darkening, and it seems almost certain that we're going to receive some considerable rain sometime between now and the start of the race. The Preakness and the Triple Crown are, of course, very much about tradition. However, surrounding this year's race has been some talk of change, starting with an idea that's been floated more and more of late, and that's stretching out the Triple Crown over a longer span to accommodate for how horses are managed today, and perhaps make the elusive achievement not nearly so close to impossible. Then there are the questions surrounding this race course itself, which, though it has its charms, is after all 145 years old. And as a matter of fact, a nearby water main break just today has rendered many of the restrooms here unusable. So an idea that's been advanced for years, moving the Preakness to the more modern Laurel Park 29 miles away, has gained some momentum, even as such a move would trigger an intense political battle here in Maryland. So those are some of the larger issues in the racing conversation, but they will all, at least for about 2 minutes, fade into the background when, for the 140th time, they run the Preakness Stakes here in Baltimore. And still to come, as that race approaches, more on Bob Baffert's pursuit of a 6th Preakness victory, as well as a 4th Derby Preakness double. And more on Victor Espinoza's unlikely path to the top of thoroughbred racing as he chases his 2nd straight Preakness aboard American Pharoah.